The world hasn't been the same since 2020, and we're all just still...
What if success isn't about climbing a ladder, but mastering your craft so deeply that it becomes an extension of who you are?
I had 4 full chairs here at one point, and now I'm thinking of making it more boutique, more intimate, more personalized. I don't want to say suffer, but you got to put in the work. So why don't you get out of school, and why don't you work under a senior stylist? It's taught me to be vulnerable and to tell my side, and people don't always see that.
Welcome to another episode of the Starter Girlz Podcast, where girls isn't about gender, it's about grit. We celebrate the dreamers, the builders, and the difference makers bold enough to start. And so I'm your host, Jennifer Loehding, and wherever you are tuning in today, we are so glad to have you. So excited about my guest today. This is going to be so much fun. Let me open up with this. What if success isn't about climbing a ladder, but mastering your craft so deeply that it becomes an extension of who you are? My guest today has spent over 16 years in the beauty industry, not just transforming hair, but helping people see themselves differently. She believes passion isn't found. It's built through discipline, education, and genuine connection. And so I have a feeling you guys are going to be in for a treat today. But before I can welcome her on, I do need to do a quick shout out to our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Productions. Need to add excitement to your YouTube videos or some expert hands for editing? Look no further. Walt Mills is the solution you've been searching for. Walt is not only your go-to guy for spicing up content, he's the force behind a thriving film production company with numerous titles in the pipeline. Always on the lookout for raw talent, Walt is eager to collaborate on film and internet productions. With a background deeply rooted in entertainment and promotion, Walt Mills leverages years of skills to give you the spotlight you deserve. Want to learn more about Walt and his work? Head on over to waltmillsproductions.net and let your content shine. And with that, I do want to make a mention to head on over to startergirlz.com. I tell you this every single week. And why do I say that? For 3 reasons. 1, because if you have missed an episode, it is a great place to catch up. It's also a great place to sign up for our community newsletter, and you can stay in the know of all these fabulous episodes that go out. And then also, if you are an aspiring creator, an entrepreneur, or maybe you're in the thick of it right now and you want to know what your number 1 success block is that may be hindering your success, well, guess what? I've got you covered. You can go over there and take my 2-minute quiz, and it will tell you exactly what block may be affecting your success right now. So as I always say, head on over to startergirlz.com and do your thing. All right, my guest today, Jill Kaye. She is the owner and master hairstylist of The Color Cove. With 16 years of experience in the beauty industry, Jill has built more than a successful salon. She's built a reputation rooted in creativity, connection, and continual growth. She's passionate about helping her clients look and feel their best while using her craft as both a creative outlet and a vehicle for deep, lasting relationships. Beyond the chair, Jill is committed to mentoring the next generation of stylists and consistently investing in her own education. She believes that when your career never feels like work, you've tapped into something powerful, a true expression of passion and purpose. So Jill, welcome to the show. We are so excited to have you here today.
Thank you.
It's going to be so much fun. Awesome. All right. Well, and I love you're in the studio right now because I can see all your stuff back there.
Yeah.
So yeah, how fun. So what a way to work smart, right? Like on the spot podcasting. That's right. Got to make it work. Got to fit it in. That's right. All right, Jill. So you've been in this industry for 16 years. So take us back. I'd love to know, like, when did you realize this could be more than just a job? When did this kind of turn and become a passion and a creative outlet for you, and really just kind of who Jill is?
Okay, so actually, it's been 23 years, but
23 years.
Yes, that's okay. So, I had gotten a job at a barber shop as a receptionist, and I was kind of like bartending and just doing my thing. And I really was drawn to it. And I signed myself up for beauty school at 25 and was still waitressing and going to school, apprenticing at a salon. And then once I finished, I continued to apprentice for 4 years because education can be a bit pricey. And I learned from a lot of great hairdressers. And then I went on to work on commission for 7 years or so. And then I rented a tear. And now it will be 12 years as the proud owner of the Color Cove.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it. And so were you like, when you were a child, were you kind of like, did you know you were going to be doing this? I mean, as a younger child?
No, it's funny. I never played with my doll's hair. I never really played with dolls. I always was painting though, either coloring, Play-Doh, just anything to do with art. And initially I wanted to be an interior designer. But I really didn't take well with that. And I wanted to still do something creative. And I just decided to try beauty school. And ironically, I was probably one of the worst ones in class because I had never done anything with hair. And then I just started to grasp it. So I've always been creative, but I never knew I was going to do hair until I was 25.
It's interesting. Yeah. Well, and I think that's kind of how things are sometimes. I mean, I think very few people just kind of sort of wake up and they know like what they're going to do even out of school, right? I think I mean, like if you would have asked me, like, I'm in my 50s now. If you would have asked me in my 20s if I'd be doing podcasting, we didn't even know podcasting existed at that time. I would have been like, what even is that? But, I will tell you, I always talk about this. I will tell you though, as a young child, I was always intrigued by the radio stuff. And I would play with my tape recorder and record myself, talking on my cassette player, but nobody knew this was going on. So I think sometimes our little talents, they sort of kind of trickle their way in just in little ways, but they show up kind of differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know that we know this all the time. And I think it's, it comes with that whole listening to our intuition and sort of kind of falling into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I believe in that a lot.
I love it. So how does creativity play a role in your work? Because you mentioned vision boards. So obviously you like that. And I can tell, obviously hair's got to be a little bit of creative. I mean, you learn, but it's still that little creative flair to it,
Yeah. I love the physical aspect of, painting, and I love formulating. I love math. I love figuring things out. There's a lot that goes into it with science and underlying pigments and all these things. I truly love the craft itself, but I think even more than that, it's so wonderful to make somebody feel amazing in just a couple hours. There are so many different things that, maybe people are going through a divorce, or maybe somebody's, their hair is growing back from cancer, or maybe they just had a breakup, or I don't know, but it just feels so good to be able to make somebody feel good and then watch them walk in one way. And then I always love to watch how somebody walks out my door, because it just shows like how they feel about themselves. And I've always just been a nurturer, and I think that being able to do something I love and also be an ear for those people, because there's a lot of things that go into this job, psychology and just listening and doing the hair and all these things that I really enjoy it. I love people. I'm a people person, and I really like hearing people's stories, and I like making people feel good.
I absolutely can tell that you're a people person. I'm totally picking up on that. And I would agree with you that there is more to what you do than just the hair. And honestly, like I was on a show the other day, and one of the things, I just mentioned this with somebody else today, that one of the things he asked me was something about like bottlenecks in the business, like things that you have to go through. And I said, well, anytime you're dealing with humans, there's a bottleneck because you're dealing with people. And so I feel like, it goes both ways, right? In order to have a thriving business, you've got to build relationships with those people. Like you gotta be a people person, right? And the same goes with dealing with problems, you're still dealing with people. You're going to have problems, and you still got to be good at the communication with people to work through those things.
Yeah, and that is something I wanted to touch on in this conversation we're having, is that I have seen in 23 years incredible hairdressers that just don't have the personality, they just don't do well, because people are, yeah, you need to do good hair, but you need to have a connection. And I've seen people who are okay at hair, but do great because they are very loving and compassionate. And I really believe that you really have to love what you do in this industry, because you are touching people's crowns. This is like their crown. And you can't just wing that. If you don't like it, it will show. And I think that, having a good personality and a good ear, and really being a friend to that person and honing in on that and letting that be your main focus, is so incredible. I mean, some people's hair I've been doing for 18 years. I can remember where their kid had their kindergarten party, and the kid's like 18 years old now. And I mean, they're just blown away by that. But I'm truly focused on what we're talking about. And I really think that that's a huge contribution of my success, because they know that I'm listening, and that they're not just a number, but they're my friend.
And you know what? And I'm going to agree with you on that wholeheartedly, because I spent 22 years in Mary Kay building business with women. And definitely you need to pay attention to that. It's interesting now, because I'm obviously not in Mary Kay anymore. I was in leadership for a while. And, really, I would tell you, I actually enjoyed the customers more than I enjoyed building the teams. And I, like you, would remember all kinds of details about their animals and their kids and all the things. But it's interesting now. I have a pet sitting business that we're building out, and I carry a lot of that same two things you've said in this like 10 minutes. Under 11 minutes we've been in the coaching. You talked a little bit about that coming into it, and this customer service, both of which I feel versed in. I don't want to say that I'm perfect at it, because I think we're always evolving, but yeah, both of those I bring into the pet sitting business, is that connection with the people that, like I try to make sure there's a connection there, but also all that other stuff you're talking about when we were talking about like bringing the coaching in, and, that kind of thing. So I commend you on that, because definitely it's doing something for you, and it's important, because I don't think it's just about dressing. That those skills really transcend into any business that we're doing, right?
Yeah. And I believe that those two go hand in hand with attention to detail, and that's really important, Yeah. So
I love it. And I'm sure people tell you all kinds of things, probably sometimes more than you even need to know, right?
But yeah, I go home sometimes, I just drive in silence, and I'm like, I love it. And it's funny, because when I'm at work, I'm so extroverted. I mean, I could sing into a bottle of hairspray in front of like 15 people. But when I go out there, I'm just like, I just want quiet, So it's just funny how that works, Yeah.
It's that too, like when I network, because I'm doing different things. I'm not doing hair, but I run a networking event, and then I do these podcasts, and I network a lot. And so I'm kind of forward facing, probably sort of like you are. I'm out there. And so when I get done, okay, so just so you know, you're my third episode I've recorded today. When I'm done today, like, that's it. And I'm really going to be taxing it, Jill, because I have a networking mixer tonight that technically I'm sort of kind of hosting. Like, I am going to be taxed. Like, it's going to be like quiet time after that. Nobody talk,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I totally resonate with what you're saying when you say that. But I would say further for you, probably because you're all there, you're out. Like, when you're in front, you're present, you're there, and so you're probably giving it your all, so that when you're back here, it's quiet time now. Like, you need to recharge, refuel,
Yeah. And another thing real quick is that, like, this is what I always tell my girls when I train them, or when I see somebody, like, if you get the main part in a show on Broadway, and your husband files for divorce that morning, you got to get up there and sing, or somebody else is going to take your part.
Yeah.
And we choose to be on stage. I did not choose a job that's at a cubicle. And so it is my job to get up there and smile and just make it happen, you know? And yes, at the same time, once you've been doing it a while, your people know you and they're like, oh, are you okay? But I mean, I really think it's important because they're paying for a service and they want the whole experience. And so, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Show must go on, right? That's okay. I love it. I love it. I would love to know because, we always talk about on this show, like you're doing great things. You've been successful. You've been in for a while. So you're making it happen. It's working for you, right? I feel like there are always things we have to, as business owners, work through. And maybe some of these are challenges that kind of come up in the beginning. Sometimes, they're in the middle. I had a mentor once that told me, it's like, if you don't have a fire burning somewhere, like in your marketing or your team somewhere, you're probably not growing, right? So just let me know maybe like what are some of the things as a salon owner that you've had to, and you don't have to list everything obviously, but whatever you feel comfortable sharing, some things you've had to work through really to keep things moving, like get this thing growing, keep things moving for you.
Yeah. So, I would say there was a huge shift in our industry around 2020, and it is just not recovered. I've always had a full salon, 3-4 hairdressers, fully booked, everyone's going. These days, a lot of the salon suites are popping up. And, I think it's great if you want to be a business owner and you want to do that, great. I mean, I did it. I left somewhere and I opened up my salon 12 years ago. However, it's really put a little bit of a damper on the traditional salon because everyone would gather at that place. And now you have all these salon suites and they're like 150 square foot rooms with, a chair, a shampoo bowl, and a mirror. And it's like, I think that it really takes away from, so many times in my salon, I double book and these two women start talking and they become friends. And I think that you get away from that. And I think you can also read, not to get off subject, but read a client. And if they're not wanting to talk, once you finish the color, they want to read their book or do an email or something. But I don't know if we're going to recover from it, but it's something that I've noticed, which has honestly, because I'm very vulnerable and I want to be vulnerable about this, that I have really struggled and was struggling with this up until a very short time ago that what am I going to do? How come I can't find any people that are wanting to learn, that are wanting to be a part of a team, and I think that it kind of goes back to, people are on Instagram and they're chatting and they want to text instead of call and they want to, and I just think that it's really, so I'm at a place right now where I've been a boss and I am I've managed many hairdressers, but I'm starting to feel like maybe I need to pivot a little while and make my salon more of an intimate situation with maybe like, myself or one or two girls and not have all of that going on because I just feel that it really has taken a huge shift. And I've spent hours listening to podcasts and reading AI and reading articles and going on different forums for hairdresser owners. And it is, in fact, absolutely an issue right now as far as like the way it's moving. So I don't know,
I think you kind of hit it. It's this fast pace. I mean, everybody's kind of disconnected, but you know what? I still think I think it's just smaller, but I still think there are people that they just don't know what they don't know. And the reason I tell you this is because, I run this networking group and it's not a large networking group. I go to a lot of networking groups and they're large, but they all kind of, to me, sort of do similar things. They're basically, everybody gets around, passes out business cards for the most part, not all of them. I don't want to say all of them. And they mingle, right? That's a traditional networking. Whereas I've actually modeled mine similarly to what I learned when I used to run meetings with Mary Kay. And it's interesting because it's smaller, more intimate, but they're starting to get the format. They're starting to understand. Now, we're not doing it like, obviously, like everything like Mary Kay. We're not talking makeup, right?
Right.
But the principle of the event, like how I'm shaping it, is very much like that. And it's very much recognition focused, training focused. They get to talk about wins, that kind of thing. And they like it because they get to do that kind of stuff. And that's not a normal thing that you see in a lot of places, right? And so I think there are people out there that still really like that. I just think we have to find them. And it is different because we're in a time now where everything is so disconnected. I mean, everything you can do online, this, online, that, right? And so we as business owners have to really sort of kind of navigate. Those of us that like that. I'm a community person too. That's what I did. I built communities,
Yeah.
Everybody's building these communities online. And I'm like, Jill, I don't want to build a community
Yeah, right.
person,
Yeah, I mean,
so I can see your face,
yeah. I mean, if I tell one of my girls, hey, can you call Mary and tell her that we're going to be running 15 minutes late? I see them texting. I'm like, no. Call Mary. Mary's not going to see her text messages. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's very, very different. But I guess, like you said, I'm learning how to pivot because that's where it's going. And I actually read a post by somebody the other day, and it just said that the world hasn't been the same since 2020, and we're all just still we're all still trying to get comfortable with it, but it takes time.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
yeah,
it
does. We're all learning to pivot and navigate, differently, and how do we shape our businesses and our lives and mold into that. And that's the beautiful thing. You're still standing. So clearly you are still navigating and pivoting and doing all the things. And thank you for sharing that, because another business owner may be experiencing and hearing that same thing that's going on in their world right now. They're like, how do I do this? I'm trying to build a community and I want this, like, I hate the phone, Jill. Like, I want to talk to you face to face. I want to see your face. I don't even want to do the phone. Like, if I'm going to do on a phone, I want to FaceTime because I want to see your face when I talk to you. I'm like, every body language. So I need you in front of me,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this is awesome. So what do you think separates, and I feel like I know where you're going to go with this, but I just want to hear you say this again. What do you feel like separates like a stylist that sustains it, so stays in, versus one maybe that burns out, that comes in and just kind of goes?
Yes. So, actually, I'm going to start with this. So I really like to read biographies because I'm very interested. We see Matthew McConaughey, we see Ellen DeGeneres, we see Michael Jordan, all these people, and they're great. But where did they start from? Where did they come from, right? And so the answer to your question, I would say, is that I don't think there's a certain time that you have to work to where you want to get to. And I think because of the instant gratification right now, that if you don't have a full book of business in 3 months and you're not doing anything to get that, I can only do so much with my storefront. I can only do so much with my marketing team. But why are you not posting on social media? Are you giving out your cards? Are you going, even if you don't drink, are you going to have a lemonade after work just to take eye contact with somebody? Me, if I get eye contact for more than 10 seconds in a store, I'm giving someone my card. And I think
we're my friend.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to this. I don't think anyone's more special than anyone else. We're all born the same way. And I really am glad you asked this, because this was in my notes to talk to you about. You either want it or you don't. There's nobody who's different. You have to have the drive. There is no such thing as failure. There is no such thing. And even if you fail, it's okay, but you got to know that you got to get back up. You got to, if you're going to bartend, you don't need to move around to 5 different restaurants, because you still have Tito's behind the bar at every restaurant. You want to build your clientele, and if it's hard, what are you going to do to make it different? I mean, now apparently, we have all these social media platforms. I did not have that. I had to physically get up at 7 a.m., stand in front of a podium, talk to people about what I do networking groups. But, I think that, like Amazon, we have Prime, right? So if we don't get our package in 2 days, people are pissed. But it's like we used to have to wait 8 days for something. So I think that the problem right now and what separates somebody from who wants it and who stays or who goes is that they want everything now without doing the work. They just see what it is, like these filters on Instagram and all these things that are not what they are. I mean, a guy driving a Porsche could be pulling up to a house that's dilapidated, but we don't know that. We just look at things as what they seem. But there's a lot of hard work and there's a lot of mindset and there's a lot of, it's like an athlete. You have to practice. You have to make it happen if you want to succeed. There is no shortcuts around it.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Jill, totally. And it is definitely, you have to want it. And interesting, like, so when I started all my stuff, the same thing. I started Mary Kay in 1999. We didn't have internet. In fact, we used to have to drive. I was in Houston at the time and we had to drive the agreements up to Dallas to get them on the cutoff day. Somebody had to get in the car and load them up from Houston to Dallas to get them there. Nothing was done online. In fact, I was so excited when we finally could start putting those things in online. I'm like, oh my gosh, now we got movement fast now, but and I think we are in a time where everything happens so quickly and people think, if I don't have something that moves, I mean, there is something to be said. Like if you're doing the same thing, spinning your wheels, right? Like, and that just becomes a definition of insanity because you're doing the same thing and expecting different results, right?
Right.
So at some point, yes, you have to maybe, if you're doing something that ain't working, maybe you got to switch gears. But I do agree with you that so much of it is that people are not willing to take the burn, like to do what it needs to do. And, it's interesting that you say this because when I was in building my teams, people would get hung up on things like, oh my gosh, I got to have my website. I got to have my flyer. And I would be like, you just need to talk to people. You need to get out and you need to get in front of people because everything happens in the dialogue. The flyer is just an accessory. It's just it's just an extra tool.
Yeah. I totally agree. When I bought the color pills, I literally had 3 huge moving boxes with the color, the bleach, the hairbrushes, and I was just pulling things out as I went because I signed the lease. I started paying. I didn't have time to put everything away, and I just worked out of boxes. I didn't care. We had to make it happen.
Yeah.
And, I do want to say one more thing on this subject that, these kids getting out of school and going right into booth rental or going right into a salon suite, I read about it online, and then they wonder why they're not busy. Like, you've got to, no, I don't want to say suffer, but you got to put in the work. So why don't you get out of school and why don't you work under a senior stylist for a year or two and then learn your craft and learn how to network and learn different trades? I mean, beauty school teaches you the basics, right? And so I just feel that this is what I'm talking about with instant gratification. Nothing worth doing comes quick. If you want to lose weight, you've got to do it the right way. If you want to be successful, I mean, I just think that's been an issue is people really wanting everything immediately. I mean, you look at Matthew McConaughey and you think, oh my God, well, I read his biography, Green Lights. It's a great book. You should read it. But he was a hand model for 5 years. He could not get an acting gig. And now he's a huge star, but you don't see that. Yeah, but people don't see that. And that's why I love reading because it humbles me and it helps me like come down to earth. Right. And so, Yeah,
no, I agree with you. There's no argument there. I do agree that there has to be, the buy-in has to be there. There has to be some skin in the game or you're not going to want to, do it. And that's why even like, like when I've coached people before, I've talked about not discounting too much because when you start discounting, nobody values that. I mean, this all goes hand in hand with the team, the clients, it's all a deal. So what you've said a lot, and I feel like we could maybe bypass this, but I want to hear you say something on this. What has entrepreneurship taught you about confidence and leadership and resilience? You kind of touched on the resilience in this last part, but maybe the confidence and the leadership part.
Well, can you rephrase that a little bit? I'm sorry.
Well, and maybe this is coming in when I say confidence, it would be because clearly you're exuding that here and you feel good about what you're doing. And I know a lot of us, when I first started out, doing in my entrepreneur journey, I always tell people I was really, really shy. Hard to believe, huh? I was really, really shy in the beginning and going through, having gone through Mary Kay, I was up in front of people a lot and I was doing presentations. It forced me to have to get up in front of people and talk. And eventually here we
Okay.
are now, fast forward, I'm doing this podcast. So I'd
Right.
love to know, and I feel like you've touched on this, but maybe personally for you, like what it's taught you about, for your self-confidence and being a leader and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I would say, to be honest, I would say vulnerability. It taught me how to be vulnerable. And I think I always had on a front and I wanted to look a certain way and be a certain way. And I believe that, through everything, whether it's, customers or employees or failures or successes or, wins, whatever it is, that I, I, I've just always been able to be, well, it's taught me to be vulnerable and to tell my side. And people don't always see that because, I know, I'm not saying everyone thinks this, but there are people who think that we're just robots, right? We mix color, we do that, we listen, whatever. But when you can speak from experience and you speak with an open heart, I think that's something that has definitely helped me as my career to be open and vulnerable. And I like that because I really pride myself on being authentic.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. I'm glad that you touched on that because I agree. I think so often we feel like we have to have everything perfect, right? Like it's got to be this way. But I think when people see the good and the bad, they see you're human. And that's what we want. We want them to see you. I think there was a time, I don't know if maybe you agree with this. I think there was a time when we were taught that it had to sort of be this way. You separate, like, right? Personal and business were separated. And so therefore that meant anything that was outside of business remained on the personal side. You don't drag it in. And that doesn't mean, we're going to say here, that doesn't mean you flood in all your 500 problems into your work. But
Yeah.
because I truly believe how you do one thing is how you do all things. So however you're living over here, it's flooding over here. So they go together. But the point we're saying is that it's okay to be a human being. If you've got something going on, it's okay to be human. You don't have to be a robot and be like, okay, I'm just going to compartmentalize every piece of my life over here. You can be real. And that's probably why you're really good at building those relationships, is because you're who you are,
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
facade. Right.
And that's how I feel. I feel so authentic. Like my customers know me. And if I am having a bad day because my dog wasn't feeling well or I had a disagreement with somebody, and I'll be like, hey, Mary. And they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. And then like once I start doing their hair, but it's like, it's okay to,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I think a lot of people don't want to be vulnerable. They want it to look a certain way, like Instagram and Facebook and all these filters and all these things that, but we're really humans. We're not computers. And, yeah, so I would agree with that.
So how do you, because we talked about the business pivoting a little bit and evolving, and maybe that is the way you look at success, but I'm curious to know how you define success, maybe for you and for your business, like for the salon and for you personally.
Yeah, so that's changed quite a bit in the last 6 months when I really think about it. I do believe in vision boards and meditation and yoga and sound baths, and I do all that stuff because, right, the world could be hard, and I just think that those things can center us. So I think that, sorry, I'm having a brain buzz
Okay,
right
I had
now.
one of those earlier. I get it.
Yeah, we're talking about.
Yes, yeah, like how you define the success for your business and for
Yeah,
you.
so honestly, it comes down to one thing. What makes you happy? It's not, it's real quick, but it's like, money and things don't make you happy. I think that, so I had 4 full chairs here at one point, and now I'm thinking of making it more boutique, more intimate, more personalized. But I don't think that that's a failure. I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think it's just me changing and wanting to give more of an intimate, experience.
Yeah.
And to me, that would be very successful because I think that we want different things in our lives at different times. And, I was on my high horse and I built a great team and I did the marketing and I stood high and I made sure I did everything and worked like crazy. Now, I mean, I don't mind. Obviously, I love working, but I feel that success means something different to me now. And that means happiness.
I share that with you. I was on a show the other day and it was interesting because it was a great episode, but I was talking to a younger person, which there's nothing wrong with that, but they were talking about like scaling. I think they kind of sort of had a different expectation when I came on the show than where I was going with this. And it was interesting because when I got done, I told my husband, I said, the person did bring up like seasons. We were talking about seasons, but I told my husband, I said, we were just sort of kind of the conversation was different because I'm in just a different season of my life. Like I entered into my 50s and I came into a place where like, I want to enjoy what I do. I've grinded. I did all that. I built the teams. And I'm not saying I will never do any of this stuff.
Right.
But I also I had a major health thing in 2012 that was nothing like heart disease or anything like that. I just got diagnosed with a weird rare nerve condition. And because of that condition, it sort of changed the way I view life. It really gave me a new lease on life. And a lot of people never get that because they're not going to get that till they get on their deathbed. A lot of people are not going to get to that place. And for me, it really put a new perspective on things where, look, if I'm not enjoying something, that doesn't mean I don't work, Jill. It doesn't mean that I don't put in the work. But if I am truly not enjoying something and it is costing me my health, my sanity, my peace, all of those things, it is going. It is leaving. I do not want it. I do not want to welcome it. I don't care if it's an event, a person, a job. I don't want it. I don't want it. And so it just really, if you were to ask me that, it's a very different. It used to be a checkbox. It used to be checks and checks and checks. Now my checks are peace, sanity.
Yeah, I agree.
Life,
Yeah. And I tell people that all the time. Like, if I don't like the movie, I'm walking out. If I don't like the book by the 3rd chapter, I'm closing it up. If I don't like the doctor, I'm walking out. Like, I don't care. It's gotta feel right. And now it just, and I don't think there's any failure. I think the failure in life is never trying.
I agree with you on that. Yes. Yeah. I agree. I love it. I'd say the same thing. How do you know if you don't try, right? And life is too short to sit in situations that are just really miserable, just really, really miserable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what would you tell, given that we've just said all of this about success and feeling right and all of that, what would you tell your younger self? Like right now, if you could go back and you'd be like, Jill, here's what I need to speak into you right now. What would you say?
Yeah, so this is a great quote from one of my girlfriends at 72 that owned salons her whole life. And she always said, and I believe this, and I say it every day to myself, if it's good, enjoy it because it'll change. And if it's bad, don't worry because it won't last.
It is good.
I think that's it. We really stress a lot. And it's like everyone tells you, you've heard this, your listeners have heard this, everyone's heard this. But it's like, we worry so much, like, oh my God, what is the test result going to be? Am I going to be okay? But none of that really changes what's going to be. And we make ourselves sick in the time being. And I know it's hard, but I do believe as we get older, hopefully, we learn how to just let it go.
Yeah. I know. And on to that, it's crazy because I was talking, totally different thing, but it's making me think of this. I was talking about some kind of medical procedure the other day, and I was like, I don't even know if I want to go do that because, they have like false positives. And what's the point? I mean, if you're going to just take care of yourself, I'm not advocating. I don't want anybody to hear that on here, think I'm advocating for that. But that was my hyper rational brain going through the logic of this. When you think about it, is how we work ourselves up about so many things. And we really can only change so many things, and we will get ourselves all psyched out about things that are, and instead of being present and just, being in the moment and being happy. And the thing is, worry causes unwell, it causes dysregulation and all the things too. And so if you're worrying about having a problem, you're not helping it by worrying. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just listened to a pod on that about, we want to vent. Venting is actually so unhealthy because we're reliving it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I like what you said. I think it's good what you said to your younger self. I think that's good. So I have some fun questions I want to ask you. I think this has been great. I've enjoyed chatting with you. It's been fun. I had no idea the first time we got to meet. And I love your personality. So I think it's just been fun because you have a great personality. And those are my best shows. We could be talking about ice cream and it would have been fun. You know what I mean? And I say that sincerely because I've interviewed a lot of people and I love all my guests, but everybody's different. And some episode you get on, it's like you said, the hairstylist. You could have a hairstylist that is maybe not great at hair, but they're good at the relationship part. They do very, very well. And you could have the opposite. The person is highly skilled, but they have no people skills and they struggle. It is like this in every business. It just goes to show it doesn't matter. It's all about the relationship. So we could have talked about ice cream or grass or, anything. It probably would have been a bit fun. Yeah. So, this is a fun. So what is your go-to confidence boost look when you need to feel unstoppable? Is it lipstick? Is it mascara? Like, what is it? What is it that just makes you feel like the diva?
This red lip.
I like it.
Yeah. Even if I'm just wearing jeans and Converse and a tank top, if I put on a red lip, I just feel great. Yeah.
I like red lipstick too. I don't have it on today. I have this pink, like pinky core, but I love red lipstick and I wear it a lot. I love it.
Yeah. I've seen you on your show wear it. Yeah.
Yeah. I go back and forth. I really have two colors that I like. I like this coral color and red. And I'm like a coral red person. Like you see my nails? I love purples and I love reds. Maybe it must be the fair skin or something. I don't know, It's like I'll go and I'll be like, I'm going to put a burgundy on today. I'm like, no, let's try. I want my red and coral.
Yeah.
So you look good in red, by the way.
Thank you.
So if you weren't a hairstylist, what other creative career would you explore?
Creative. Well, to be honest, I think one day, I would love to have my own podcast, creatively. I would love to have be about the industry, be vulnerable, have people call in, talk about how much the industry has shifted, and where it's going and any questions anyone might have about me or anything like that. That would probably, because I've thought about that because I do love hair more than anything. It is my passion. It's been 23 years. I never feel like I'm going to work. I love my people. I love what I do. It's fun. Sometimes I joke and I'm like, I feel like I'm getting paid to like socialize all day. Like, cause every day is different, So, and other than that, it's not creative, but I have a huge passion for that one is. But the other thing I do on the side that one day I hope I can do more, there's not much money involved, is I do work with animal rescue. I work with abandoned pet rescue. Yeah, I love animals and I will do anything I can to help. And I volunteer with a wonderful organization called Abandoned Pet Rescue out in Fort Lauderdale. They're a no-kill shelter. And anytime I can help them, any money I can raise. I mean, my customers come in all the time with gently used beds or harnesses or whatever that I could bring to the shelter. And it is just the most rewarding, beautiful, amazing feeling. And if I could afford to, I do it full time.
Love it. I love it. I do a lot with animal rescues too. So you and I are like kindred spirits, I think.
Yeah.
So what is one beauty trend you hope never comes back? Like never?
Oh, man. Geez. Oh. I don't want to get off that question, but if you were going to ask me what styles are in right now, this is the one time in the world I feel that everything goes. Because back in the 70s, everyone had a Farrah Fawcett. In the 90s, everyone wanted the Jennifer Aniston, right? But now you've got the spike, and then even the young boys are coming in wanting perms on the top of their head to curl their hair. You still have the women who want that.
Yeah, we did. The straight, sleek hair that's in. So, I mean, as
Anything
far as-
different?
I mean, I guess it's on the top of my head. I would say perms, but it's already back. So I just think that everything goes right now because everything is so exposed and
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's good. We got freedom. That means we can do whatever and we will be okay. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, you've been amazing, Jill. I have
Thank
enjoyed
you.
chatting with you. If our audience wants to get in touch with you, or maybe somebody out there, hears this in the area and they want to reach out to you, whatever. And first of all, let me say this. Start your podcast. Do that podcast. Do it. Okay. So we're going to put this out here right now. You've kind of put it out there to the world to hear. And I know you're a vision board girl. So get that thing. Let's do it. Let's get that podcast going.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I want people to reach out to you so they can kind of encourage you to do that too. And so where do they find you? What's the website?
Yeah, so it's the colorcovehairsalon.com. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. We'll make sure when we do the show notes that we get it in there, and that way they know where to find you, connect with you, and all that good stuff. So much fun. And fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it so much. Thank you, Jennifer.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Of course, we want to say to the audience, we appreciate you. We love you. We hope you found this episode both inspiring, informative. Reach out to Jill, follow her, do all the things. And of course, if you enjoyed this episode, you know what to do. That's the hit, the like, the share. You can do a comment, subscribe, all the things so we can continue sharing these stories. And as I always say, in order to live the extraordinary, you must start. And every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, be kind to one another, and we will see you next time.